Well, Ralph gave my entire presentation, so I'm done. Yeah. Okay, first a bona fide. I was the recipient, along with everybody else on EcoSwift, back when that happened, of a $17 million SLAP suit, because we actually thought that septic tanks should not be part of a platted subdivision on Cape Hayes Peninsula. After the smoke cleared, the other side had to pay all the lawyers' fees. But yeah, it is unnerving to get yourself served on a $17 million SLAP suit. But you move on. Now I'm going to give you two facts out here. First one, hold tight to your bosom. In Lee County, 84% of the voters voted to reinstate an effective 2020 program. If every no vote had been a Republican, it would have passed 3-1. If every no vote had been a Democrat, it still would have passed 2-1. So it's pretty clear the people in Lee County cared enough about the environment to actually say, go ahead and tax us to do something about it. Richmond, Virginia decided it was going to do something about gun control, and 22,000 people armed to the teeth came from all over the country to protest it. Now, a few thousand of them were in meetings, kind of like this, but outdoors, and the rest of them, kind of bewildered, walked up and down the streets wondering what they're going to do, except for a few of them who thought it was a good thing to do because they want to be stormtroopers. The Lee County voters, on behalf of the environment, outnumbered all those gun bearers in the United States that appeared in Richmond by 6-1. To give you an idea of the magnitude of the interest the environment has for the average individual. Now, I'll put a bet on the table. Who wants to bet that the Florida legislature is more likely to enact citizenship for the environment than they will open carry? Now, are we grim enough yet? Because citizens' participation is the only thing that keeps government in check. We know it's not the courts, we know it's not the executive, and we know it's not the legislature. It's the participating citizen and the vigor to which you present your point of view. Now, I have an undergraduate degree in political science because I went to a military college. You had to have a degree in something. So I picked political science, and I thought it was going to be a coast, and sadly, it informed me and educated me too much on the ways of man. But one thing I remember was a quote was that no human being is represented totally of all their entire breadth and depth of experience by one issue. All right? You may be for the environment, but you like your children. And you have to pay the rent. I mean, your whole breadth of human experience is not focused on one person saying, this is what you stand for, or this is what I stand for, really. Keep that point in mind, because when we go into citizens' participation, we have to recognize everybody else is a citizen too. Now, what is a citizen? A citizen is a person who's a member of a city, county, region, state, nation, and who has legal rights under that city, county, region, state, nation, national laws. What are rights? Rights are the freedoms that are protected by that law. So in a country with lots of freedoms, there's a lot of laws saying you have that, and those with few freedoms probably have a lot of laws saying you don't have them. And what are responsibilities? Those are the duties of the citizen to ensure the continuance of that city, county, region, state, nation. There is no right without a responsibility. No right without a responsibility. If you're not out there in your duties in support, even of change, in your city, county, region, state, or nation, for all practical purposes, you might as well not be there. Decisions are going to be made without your participation, And as Jim Beaver is favored to say, participation is optional. Wait, no. Belief is optional. Participation is mandatory. You will be affected by all the decisions. Now, the hardest thing for citizens who have many things to deal with to focus on one item, like one aspect of the environment, is to understand the complex nature a modern society has. Okay, so we should have said water quality, right? Nothing simpler than water quality. Bad water quality makes you sick. Good water quality doesn't have you have to have an operation to take the bacteria out of your thumb, right? So, all you got to do is go to your public agency and express your concern, right? Your public agency. At the federal level, you have, besides your lawmakers, the entire congressional branch, in the executive branch, you have EPA, you have U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, you have the Corps of Engineers. I haven't begun to rattle off all the letters, but the breadth of entities involved in the topic of water quality is not short. State of Florida, again, the legislative branch. In the executive branch, you've got the Department of Environmental Protection, you got the Florida Freshwater FFWCC, which by now I've forgotten what all the words that go with it are, keeps changing. You've got water management districts, you've got the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity with its state planning and section. Then you've got, I mentioned the Water Management District, which is a state but regional entity. You've got your county, you've got your city, and there's even local special districts. You can go to one and talk about your issue and discover you're at the wrong one. You go to the county commission and say the water quality is rotten, they said go to the water management district. You go to the water management district, say the water quality is rotten, they said but they had a state permit and we're preempted. You go to the state and you say wait a minute, that's an area under federal jurisdiction and we have to follow what they say, and if they say that it's okay, then it's okay. Now there's plenty of wiggle room in all that, but you can get lost real quick if you try and follow the agency route. If you try and follow the agency route, you better have some specialists along, which is like we did when we got our $17 million slap suit. We had specialists, and we were able to establish a record, but they were objecting to the fact that we were there and existing, so we naturally had to have a lawyer too. So it's important to know these entities, but they all have a pressure point. They all have a pressure point. We're discovering what that pressure point is. The pressure point is those elected people. Because in our system of government, at the state level, we elect them all. We elect the executive, we elect the legislative, and Ralph pointed out, we elect the judiciary. And periodically for the judiciary, we say, do we still want them to stay? And since most of us are dirt ignorant about what they've been doing, they generally stay unless they've offended an interest group. How do you get to be effective with those folks? Well, Citizens United seems to have said it's all about the Benjamins. Remember how that was supposed to be racist? When it turns out Benjamin Franklin is on the money? It's all about the Benjamins, is what the Citizens United would have you think. But the reality is, it's all in getting to know you. Sometimes the Benjamins open the door, but frankly, you have to get off your duff and go see the people running for office. And each office, every office, because they all interrelate. And heck, I wouldn't even let 2/3 of these people in my house. and you're supposed to go to them and be friendly. Well, here's a sad fact. Once you get to know them, you discover no person is defined by what? One interest. You can find things that you have in common. I hope. Although I can think of one that I may not have anything in common with besides age and color of hair. Naturally. And hair. Naturally. But you have to get to know them. And how's the best way to get to know them? You go do what they're interested in. Oh, it's almost like I'm setting up hypocrisy. I wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them. But yes, a statement has been made. Well, once you get to know them, things take their own path. It's okay. Because you're not going to get change unless the decision makers change their attitude. Because in Florida, we clearly are schizophrenic. We will, every opportunity, vote for the survival of our great-grandchildren in a quality environment. And every legislative session, it's kind of like we're on a tontine. At the end, there can only be one who inherits all. No, it's ridiculous. Our problem is we have not really combined results-oriented elections with an understanding of the future. Now, you could say the simplest way is not to elect buffoons, larcenists, and other scum to office. All right? But if you listen to everybody at once, that's all it ever runs. I don't care how nice they are, Maggie. Somebody, when you were a commissioner, didn't like you and considered you one of the above. Again, we all have different points of view. So the only way to get effective is to participate. And if you don't participate, you've opted out. I will say voters is the final participation. Voting is the final participation, and boy, they have records on whether you vote or not. They don't know who you voted for. You probably blurted that out in Facebook. But they, for sure, know whether you vote. And if a group of you who are known to vote show up, then they have to pay a little bit more attention, even if you haven't given them any money, because they know ultimately you're going to vote. Now, money does talk. Labor does talk. Campaigning for issues and people does talk. It does make a difference and helps define issues. I think Ralph said it. If you don't show up, someone else is there. If you don't show up, someone else is there. So you better be there to present the point of view. Now, there's a long list of agencies. There is a, citizen participation handbook out there. Florida produced it that tried to list all the agencies involved and all the issues they're involved with. And it frequently needs updating. So you can find that out. But participation, going to the meetings, like Ralph said, is what you have to do. Now, I'm going to leave you one thought. Suppose Florida passes an open carry bill. If you want to see it repealed, all us environmentalists show up at their meetings carrying guns, and it'll be gone the next legislative session.